Well, my name is Dana. I was born and raised in Charlotte, and we kind of grew up in the church, my family and I. We definitely started from the birth. That's all I remember. It's going to church with my grandma, and then growing up in the church from all of my years. So that was definitely an important part of my life. Towards my teenage years, though, unfortunately, I started following the crowd and doing things that I shouldn't have, and definitely falling away from Christ because I felt like I was missing out on the world, on the worldly things, the things that were fun.
So when I was younger, I grew up in a church. I always yearned for God. I always knew that it was what was right for me. I went through a lot of bullying and a lot of being picked on in school. And about the time I got to middle school, I had had enough. And that was when I turned for the worst. I fell into drugs, alcohol, violence, hanging out with a bad group of people. I ended up going through drug programs, inpatient rehab. I ended up in a court program where I had to go to court every week and sit in front of a judge. I ended up spending some time in a juvenile detention center. So during these troubled times in my life, it affected me tremendously. I started failing in school. Everything just started going downhill. Something was still missing.
During my time away from God, that's actually when I met my husband, Jeremy. And we were actually childhood sweethearts, so we've known each other for a long time. So we ended up getting married, and even though we were so blissfully happy with each other, I still knew that something was missing. And so I ended up going to church with my husband and his family, and we went to his church regularly because we were now a family. And I knew that thing that was missing was God, because each sermon spoke to me directly. Each word that was spoken, each song that was sung, it spoke to me directly and in my spirit, and I was just being tugged closer and closer to God. It wasn't until I completely surrendered at the altar one day that I truly felt God's presence. So after that moment, my life truly changed. I can truly say that because my heart was different. My outlook on life was different. I just felt such positivity in my life, and I wanted to share that with not only the world, but specifically with my husband, because he didn't quite share that enthusiasm like I did at that point. He wasn't spiritually ready to make that commitment like I was at that moment. So the first thing that I started doing was pray for him.
So as Dana is making these changes in her life, I was still at a standstill. I wasn't moving forward. She wanted me so bad to go to church, and I wasn't ready to give up my lifestyle. I'd still been using drugs. I'd still been drinking, and I didn't want to be a hypocrite. So I didn't feel like I could go to church and still be myself.
It was hard. It really was hard when you're unequally yoked like that. It sounds technical, but it really is true, because it's hard when you go through things like that as a couple.
She was happy. She was talking with God. She was able to give her life. She was able to give things that I wasn't ready for. And I saw how happy it made her, and it made me want to sing.
What truly changed in our relationship was when we found Crosspoint. I came to this church, the first time I ever came to this church, I felt such a breath of fresh air.
That Sunday changed my life. I enjoyed it so much. I was happy. I was praying. I was listening to the message and getting something out of it. It felt like the pastor was speaking directly to me. Towards the end of the service, he said a small prayer for the lost. He said a small prayer for the people who really needed it. and I really needed it. He asked that we slip up a hand, and I felt like I couldn't reach my hand high enough. That was me. I didn't know how lost I was until God showed me, and God showed me that I was found. Once I devoted my life to Christ, that relief, that burden was lifted, and it was a huge relief. It was like something I've never felt before. All my problems, all my worries were taken.
After we became devoted followers of Christ together, we decided to take the growth track. And it really taught us about the church, about how we can be free in Christ, and ultimately taught us how to discover our purpose. Life now has changed tremendously. The way we handle problems is completely different. The way we handle our finances is different now. And the way we handle our marriage in general, the way we handle parenting is different. It's just all different because we have Christ.
So now I lead the men's small group, men's encouragement group at Crosspoint.
I do the women's encouragement group.
And it has been a great experience as well. We have a bunch of great guys that come and meet together. Sometimes we meet at the house and just have a cookout and read the verse of the day and encourage one another.
Having to apply ourselves biblically and spiritually and invest ourselves in these people. And it really opened up our hearts in a new and different way because we were serving for people. We were pouring into people, which allowed God to pour more into us.
Absolutely.
I serve on the Dream Team, and it has really been one of the most fulfilling experiences ever. I serve on the worship team and in the Crosspoint Kids, and it is so fun every week.
I serve on the hospitality, greeter, and prayer team. It is a great experience. Getting to pray for someone who has a need, serve someone coffee who is new to church that Sunday, and being able to shake hands and meet people as they walk through the door and meet new people every Sunday, it's a great experience. And I feel like it's what God wanted for me. If you're watching this today and our story has spoken to you, then reach out for God. Dedicate your life to Him and surrender your life so that you may experience true life.
Jesus has really made a difference in our lives. He's changed our lives for the better. We couldn't be happier, even though we go through things each and every day, different things, different problems. We have peace, and we are experiencing life in a whole new way because of Jesus.